How's it going, YouTube? It's Robbie from One Arm Graphics here. I'm a 42-year-old chronic pain, disability, amputee blogger. You find more videos on my channel about living with chronic pain, living life one-armed, and some tips and tricks we've picked up along the way, living with our new baby Ollie, who was born in November last year. This week, wanted to talk about some issues I've been having lately with my chronic pain. It's having a pretty big effect on home life. I was struggling to come to terms with coming home fatigued and exhausted from work during the day, and just not having any energy or motivation to be there, be around and with my wife and son Ollie when I got home. I was pretty much just wanting to blob out in my chair and sit there and do nothing, think about nothing. So yeah, that really wasn't very good, obviously. So I booked a counselling session. Our workplace puts on some free counselling sessions, and I ended up seeing the counsellor on, I think it was Thursday. It was very beneficial, actually. Beforehand, I sketched out the picture you'll see there on screen. Sort of like a mind map of the chronic pain issues that I've been having over the 25 years that I've lived with chronic pain and with my disability. The biggest motivation for wanting to speak to the counsellor was just to talk about the change that I'd seen most recently, to do with the just the exhaustion and fatigue at home, but also dealing with guilt and stress at work over issues and side effects from the medication that I'm on, slow release painkillers, along with some nerve pain medication called Lyrica, another medication called Endep or amitriptyline, and these are working pretty effectively. Thankfully, I'm definitely able to work a lot better than previously, than when I wasn't on the slow release painkiller. But it has side effects, like all medications do, obviously. And the biggest thing for me was a shift in pretty much how my brain worked, how my memory worked. I was finding I could forget things that I'd done at work the day before or later. So as you can imagine, working in an office, you pretty much rely on your memory. I recently transitioned into this role in a new department in September of last year. I'd moved from a phone team that spoke to medical providers. It was a fun team of I don't know, about eight or nine of us, into this small 3-person team that is not phone-based work. It's dealing with a company that we outsource our document scanning and imaging, dealing with Australia Post and suppliers. So the work itself was better suited to the chronic pain, but as you can imagine, when you're in a new role, having memory issues, it's not fun. So I've been thinking of ways to cope with the memory, the knowledge, capturing a lot more simple facts on spreadsheets, making a brain, if you like, and thinking of techniques to cope with that. At the same time, trying to find a balance between, well, how much do I explain to my manager at work, how much shouldn't I, and those are issues that for now I've put to the side. What's most important at the moment is home stuff. We've got a nearly 6-month-old child. My wife is home with him. She has some support from her mum 1 or 2 days a week, but obviously it's very, very tough on her if I'm fatigued, exhausted, in a bad mood, stressed, or unable to participate in the family as I should do. So yeah, there was a lot of guilt about that. What I've come away with predominantly from speaking to the counsellor is to acknowledge that some days you are going to need some space when you get home, sometimes yourself. My plan is to simply hop into the shower, finish that, meditate for 10 or 20 minutes, and in effect reboot the system, and then we can come out and have a quick play or look after Ollie while Sharina puts on dinner. So yeah, that's going to be fantastic. Had the first trial run of that on Friday after work, which in itself, ironically, was very stressful. We had sudden flooding in and around Brisbane, so I had a fairly dangerous drive home from work. Was soggy, and anyway, hopped into the shower. It was great. Came out, had dinner, and yeah, everything was pretty good, pretty normal. What I also wanted to go over for you was a little bit more detail on what you'll see there with the mind map. I think it's a useful tool for someone else in chronic pain who is perhaps thinking of speaking to a counsellor or someone else about their issues. They can be extremely complex. You should acknowledge that no one else truly understands your pain but you. So you have to think really hard about how you're going to explain it. I showed the mind map to the counsellor, and yeah, she thought it was really useful. She sort of acknowledged that with me, I was fairly not one of her sort of typical clients, if you like, because I've got 25 years of history of dealing with the chronic pain and already using some techniques like cognitive behaviour therapy to cope better, adjust your mindset towards it and how you're coping. But saying that, we can still slip into our kind of man cave mode, and yeah, for me, once I'm in there, it's very, very difficult to get out. I don't want to be around anyone else when I'm in that kind of mood. It was very hard for Sharina. She didn't understand that recently, and once I had explained that to her, she could. Unfortunately, when I'm in that kind of mood, I won't put on a brave face and fake it. I cannot. So my preference is to run away into my little man cave. But with these techniques, like taking some time to myself to relax, hop into the shower. If a baby's crying, a bit noisy, well, maybe pop some earplugs in. It's simple things like that I think can pay off really well. Obviously, keeping medicated if that's appropriate. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'll leave the mind map on screen for a bit. I'll also put some links to a tool called XMind, which is a free mind mapping software, which is really useful for sketching out things on the computer. You can put in links to sites and all sorts of other cool fancy stuff like that if you like, or just pen and paper. As I said at the start, my name's Robbie. I have a website called onearmedgraphics.com where I blog a bit more in detail about chronic pain and things. Feel free to check it out. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos. Check it out. Bye.